Welcome to the Fresh Vending Podcast, where we discuss how smart vending machines are revolutionizing fresh food accessibility for both creators and consumers.
Hey everyone, Isaac and Nathan here from the Fresh Vending Podcast. And today we wanted to talk a little bit about a market analysis for unattended food sales. So there's a lot of information out there, and some of it can be really confusing to decipher. So today we want to talk a little bit about that, and the industry is constantly evolving, especially here in the US. So Isaac, high level, what are some of the things that you're seeing with unattended fresh food retail right now in the US?
Yeah, great question. So I think we can kind of take a step back, 30,000 foot view, and just look at the different categories based on size, right? So you got first kind of the larger scale things, like you got the Amazon just walk out markets. And then we got these micro markets. You may have seen them on campuses and airports and those types of environments, maybe an office where it's not open all the time. It's based on honor system. So someone grabs something off the shelf and they have to go and check it out, scan it at the iPad and swipe their card. The items in those kind of larger micro markets may not be I guess the most restaurant quality fresh food types because expirations can't be tracked. And so those are kind of the larger scale, larger footprint solutions. And then we got the smaller footprint solutions, which are, those things like a pizza vending machine or a Costa coffee or, a farmer's fridge.
Just Baked is another one that I think they're kind of like specialized, right? Where they do one thing, like you get the hot coffee, the hot pizza, something along those lines.
Right, exactly. Yeah. So what Nathan's talking about is you have a smart vending solution where you purchase it and they have a set kind of menu or they sell one type of thing or they stock the unit with the ingredients and then that's what you get, and most of the time they get the revenue and you get maybe a cut of it. Whereas if you stay within the small footprint category, so what I just talked about, the smart vending solutions, that's one thing. And then you have platforms which put your food and your offering on a pedestal. And so they're more adaptable to whatever you want to sell, whether that's fresh food, whether that's, sundries or whatever you want to sell unattended. And that, we call them smart fridges. That can be split down further into different categories.
Yeah, I think the easy part of this is once you get into, the catch-all of smart fridges where you can put just about anything in there, the multitasker of the smart vending world, there's three core technologies. So you have cameras, and you may have seen these, plenty of airports have them from Coke and Pepsi, where there's a couple cameras and they have the ability to recognize, those 4 or 5 different bottled drinks that are in that machine. The camera technology is not so advanced that it can recognize lots of different types of packaging form factors and things like that. So be cognizant of that if you're out there shopping camera technologies, that it's usually good at a very limited type of packaging and look and feel. But it can be great. And for companies like Coke and Pepsi, I tried one last week and it was a very pleasant, efficient experience. The second technology that's very common is weight-based. So there'll just be little scales that are in every single shelf within the fridge. And those can be really good for selling, mass-produced snacks. Sometimes you can get some, fresh food as well, maybe like the type of sliced bread sandwich that you might expect to see at like a 7-Eleven, where it's mass produced. So the weights are super consistent. Usually things like that will have maybe a 5 to 7 day shelf life. So it's a step up in quality from, eating a Snickers bar for lunch. But it's not going to be great at fresh food and kind of dealing with some of the variations in weight that's inherent to like when you get into high quality fresh food. And when you get into that category, that's the third technology. So RFID, where the fridge uses these little smart stickers that have a computer chip and an antenna. So it's both tracking the inventory up to your dashboard as well as the individual product expiration, because once you step into that realm, then you're talking about all sorts of new things. Like, it's great to sell a $12 salad out of a vending machine from a revenue standpoint, but you also have to step up your game from a food safety standpoint. So that's when the third technology of RFID and tracking the individual product comes into play.
Yeah, that's great. So within this platform category, there's weight-based, there's camera, and there's RFID. Um, Other kind of buzzwords that we see out there have to do with AI. I mean, I feel like every company, especially where Nathan and I are at in the Bay Area, every company can claim to be an AI company. What kind of AI, quote unquote, is being used in smart vending, Nathan, if at all?
Yeah. So as Isaac mentioned, we're out here in the Bay Area where tech buzzwords fly around constantly. It makes me think of things like blockchain and cryptocurrency. They all come on and everybody uses them every other word. It's one thing with artificial intelligence. AI is doing a lot of amazing things in a lot of different, categories and for a lot of different walks of life. But sometimes the buzzword is a little bit overpromised on the reality. I mean, for myself as a former operator, and Isaac used to be a former, fresh food operator as well. The technology's really cool. There's a lot of cool things that you can do with smart fridges, but you don't want to buy a technology that's going to work well tomorrow. And when it comes to AI, there are some cool things happening with AI. I know for us and our company, we use AI for customer support, which is great because that gives a 24-hour resource. It wouldn't be feasible to have a human being sitting on the phone 24 hours a day, but there's some things that we do with that and with training so that there's really amazing resources. I think some of the pitfalls that I've seen with AI most specifically has to do with camera technologies. I mentioned earlier that Pepsi can sell their bottled drinks out of a machine and it has pretty high accuracy. But when it comes to cameras tracking inventory for a wide variety of products and packaging types, the AI is not really at the level where you can put lots of different products in there and not have a lot of headaches. So we're excited about how fast it's developing, but it's something today that's not necessarily where people might get the impression of where it is in terms of like accuracy and making sure that you're getting paid for your products.
Yeah, yeah. So maybe on kind of the whole cold hard transaction piece, AI may not be exactly where it is from a computer vision standpoint. But that being said, there's a ton that can be done with data. So, we have hundreds of deployments out just in the US on campuses. And, there is a world where AI can be used to kind of dissect all that data and say, hey, school A in, rural county, Pennsylvania, there's another school in Wyoming that's your size. And this, sushi seems to really work well on Tuesday afternoons with, well, yeah, I guess with this type of drink, for example. So we can already see even on our roadmap at FoodSpot ways in which AI can help with just the merchandising piece or the data analytics piece for people, for operators to dial in their merchandising, dial in their ROI. So, yeah, that's great. And you know, when we think about market analysis, we're talking about solutions, we're talking about big picture. But at the end of the day, when you are looking into a solution, you need to make sure that you're going to be supported well and that your team is going to be able to be trained on how to use this new technology. And so it's really important as you look into solutions to ask the questions of how do you support me when I buy your solution? Are you going to come on site? Are you going to make sure I set up the machine correctly from a hardware and software standpoint? How is my team trained? Do you have training materials? Do you do a live training? Am I going to be able to hop on a call or a Zoom call with a human if I have questions? And so asking those really important questions of, you know, when we start out, how are you going to help me? As we go along and I run into issues, how are you going to help me? So launch success, support, also really important things to look at when you're looking at the market of smart vending.
Yeah, I think it's a really good point because it's I mean, once you get into smart vending, um, big format, small format, whatever it may be, you're dead in the water if you don't have a good partner that's there to support you. So it's something where you really want to dig in, and it's not great if you're sent to a call center somewhere on the other side of the world where maybe that person doesn't understand the realities of being a fresh food operator, but maybe they don't even understand like the technology. I know one of the things that was really important for us was to say, hey, listen, we need to have subject matter experts that understand food service and also understand the technology. Because the bottom line is, from a empathy standpoint, you don't want to be stuck dead in the water with a fridge full of fresh products that you can't get back online quickly and get that revenue coming in.
Yeah, absolutely. So this was a short one, but we felt it was really important just because we see the market maturing in the US. We've seen it mature in Asia, in Western Europe, Australia, and coming to the US a few years back, even in this short time, we've seen people understand smart vending to a degree that we haven't seen before, and the questions are different, right? When we go to trade shows, it's not what is smart vending, what is a smart fridge? It's more like, how is your solution different? And we already have solution A, we already have a Just Baked, we already have a Farmer's Fridge. Tell me about your smart fridge in our case. So we thought, might as well just give an overview of what the market is looking like right now, because it's always changing. And I'm sure we'll do another episode like this in another year or 6 months, and we'll have new things to say. So thank you all for listening. Nathan, any closing sentiments here?
Yeah, I think that's it. To keep our finger on the pulse, we will do our best here to keep quality information that we really try to be objective and help people make an informed decision, because somebody that there's some instances where our technology may not be the best fit for a company that's looking at smart fridges. And our goal here is just to put out good information so that people can quickly find the path to their best fit, because smart vending is, as Isaac said, is growing incredibly fast. We'll do our best to be a great resource, and in that regard, stay tuned.
Great. Well, this has been episode 15 of the Fresh Vending Podcast. Like and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts, and leave a comment if there's any questions or any topics that you want to hear from us. And until then, we'll see you next time.
Thanks for listening.
Thank you for listening to the show this week. If you're interested in learning more about smart vending platforms, you can visit us at launchfoodspot.com. I'm Nathan Downs, and you've been listening to the Fresh Vending Podcast.